These 5 Nintendo Switch games are getting rare and expensive, and you may not have even noticed it. How's it going, guys? My name's Evan. Thank you for stopping by the channel. So the Switch is one of my favorite consoles to collect for. But while I love going out and hunting for games myself, I also love tracking where the market's going, what games I need to look out for the next time I go to a game store. So today I'm here with 5 games I think have flown mostly under the radar. Now, they're not the most expensive games ever. They're not going to be the next Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, and I'm actually excluding limited run and collector's editions in general for this video. I'll get to those in another video, don't worry, but this one, I just want to keep it to games that you'll find at your local GameStop on a lucky day. And before we start, if you like this video, drop a like down below, and if you want to see more game collecting content just like this, hit that subscribe button. Starting off here, we have a game I've been keeping tabs on for a long time, and that's PGA Tour 2K21. 2K21 is an officially licensed golf game from the PGA Tour. It's also a simulation style golf game, so you don't really see a ton of those on Switch. A lot of them are arcadey, and to be honest with you, as someone who plays a lot of golf games, I couldn't tell you another simulation style game on the system. Taking a look over at price charting, you can see for complete and box copies, it was about $30 in 2021. This was about 5-ish months after it came out, and it kind of hovered around the $20 to even $10 mark going into January of 2023 here. But as you keep going, you can see that in 2024, things started to change. In January, it was $32, and now in March of 2025, we're looking at $45.15 for a complete copy. Now that's on price charting, and it doesn't tell the whole story. Over to GameStop, you can see $38 for a new copy, and it occasionally goes in and out of stock. When I was recording this video, you can see this one says add to cart, but earlier today it said it was not available anywhere. And looking over at eBay, you can see that the prices are pretty high on here. $90 for a new copy, $105, $110 for a Japanese import, $100. The most reasonable copy I see is at $60. It says brand new, but still, for a game that launched at $60 and being a sports game, that's pretty high. Now the reason for this, I can only chalk up to supply and demand. Like I said, there's only basically one officially licensed simulation game on Switch, and it's actually pretty good. Now, don't get me wrong, the game looks terrible. It has some of the worst graphics on Switch I've ever seen. The courses pretty much just appear on the fly, everything pops in, and sometimes the ball like disappears from the air. It just looks kind of rough. The menus can also be really slow, laggy, and just not fun to navigate whatsoever. However, once you're actually in the golf game, if you can get past the graphics, it does play really well. Even in multiplayer with multiple people, it does play fine. There's not really any lag with swing timing, and you could do well for yourself playing this, so it's actually not that bad if you can get past the visuals, and I do recommend it if you find it for a reasonable price. Next up, we have a game you've probably walked by like a million times. Maybe you've never seen it before. I feel like that's how Switch is. You either see a game all the time or you never see it. That's Stern Pinball Arcade. Now, Stern Pinball came out all the way back in 2017. Oh god, I'm old. And the best way I can describe this game is pinball. I don't know. If you like pinball, you're gonna like this game, and if you want to play it, you're gonna have to pay up. Looking at price charting here, it hovered around $20 for a while, but ever since 2021, it's been jumping, and it's been going up pretty consistently. It was in the 50s, and it was in the 60s. Now it's hovering around the 70s. It has come down a little bit from its peak, but yeah, you're going to be paying over $60 for a pinball game that came out 8 years ago. It does pop up at GameStop occasionally, but they don't sell it on their website. And looking at eBay, I've seen a couple listings. Here's one for $95, $99, a loose copy for $67, $110, and then some imports. Yeah, you're going to be paying up for this one. And if I had to speculate on why this game is getting rare, I think it's just because it's old and kind of shovelly. It's a game that you probably wouldn't think anything of when you came out, and if you're looking at it at Walmart at the $10 rack, you'd probably just pass it by and not think anything of it. It's getting up there, and this is just something that happens with retail releases sometimes. It's why I like to categorize them differently than limited run or any other limited print distributors. It just is a little bit different to see these games organically rise in price versus limited run, where, you know, it's always going to be an uphill battle once that pre-order window ends. Up next, we have Rad Rogers Radical Edition from THQ Nordic. This one came out back in 2019, and it's a port of a PC game that was actually kickstarted in 2016. It's a 2D side-scrolling platformer. It kind of looks like Commander Keen, Jazz Jackrabbit. The Steam page actually cites both of those games as influences. But the game revolves around a kid who's sucked into his TV, and he has a foul-mouthed game console on his back trying to go through and get through this world or whatever he got sucked into. I don't know. It doesn't look like my kind of game, but it's kind of cool that the voice of Duke Nukem returns to play the game console, and apparently his vocabulary is very bad. Speaking of very bad, let's look at the price. Over here on price charting, you can see this guy was really cheap for a long time. $20 for pretty much 5 years, all the way from 2019 through like 2024. But in July of 2024, you can see that things started to change. It slowly went up until it spiked hard after November 2024. After that, it went up to $80. So now you're going to be paying $87 for this game. That is, unless you can find a copy from GameStop. You can see the game is available in their system. It's listed for $20. Unfortunately, it's not available to buy online. You're going to have to track this one down in store, and your mileage is going to seriously vary on that. Just in my experience, I searched their stores within 100 miles for any copies, and from 3 different zip codes, I didn't see a single one. And if you need to turn to eBay for this one, again, be prepared to pony up. eBay prices are generally going to be higher than price chartings in general, and yeah, $99 for a loose copy, $180 for a brand new copy, $131 here. We have $69 for, these are import copies, so yeah, if you want to buy an import, it's going to be less. But again, yeah, this one is getting pretty high up there. There are some import copies for less. However, if you do want that ESRB rating, there's only a handful of listings on eBay, and they're getting pretty pricey. So, but as of now, I would keep an eye on this one, and if you're really in the market for Rad Rogers, I would think about it sooner than later. All right, time for another sports game, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of cheating on this one. NBA 2K23, the Michael Jordan edition, came out with NBA 2K23 at launch, and if you're not familiar with 2K games, they usually tend to launch in a couple tiered versions, whereas the Legend editions have more downloadable content and release at a higher price. They also have a different player on the cover. And honestly, for people who play these games, and you know there's a lot of microtransactions in them, these Legend editions aren't the worst buy ever, especially if you already know that you're going to be dropping the money anyway. But apparently, those players were not on Switch. Looking at price charting, you can see this one came out at $76 complete in box, and it has really rarely gone down since. Started off in the 70s, moved up and spiked around the low hundreds, and then has kind of come down a tad. Right now it's hovering at $90, which is pretty expensive for a game that otherwise sells for less than $20. Now, it takes a certain kind of collector to really want this edition. Again, I'm kind of cheating because it is a special edition. It's not a collector's edition because it's not really giving you anything more than a slipcover for the game and some digital goodies. But if you want to say I'm cheating on this one. As for my GameStop angle that I've been taking throughout this video, I don't think 2K is a game that they really differentiate between the Legend editions and the regular editions, so you're just going to have to walk in there and get lucky. Looking at it on eBay, again, there's not a lot of copies posted on this one. It's $80, $99, $84.99, $90, $120, and 2 copies for $190. But yeah, that's less than 10 copies on eBay right now, all of which are fetching near $100 prices. So if you're a big NBA 2K fan, if you want to get the full set on Switch, you might have to take the plunge for this one. And again, this is for a very certain kind of collector who wants everything, or wants variants, or wants all the sports games, or loves basketball. Sports games usually tend to become valueless, so ones that holds a decent amount of value are kind of interesting to me, and this is no exception. And last but not least, we have a Wii U port, and that's Hello Kitty Cruisers. You can see this one started at like $30 and moved down from there, but it quickly spiked in November of 2023, going from like $30 all the way up to $60. And since then, it's kind of come down a bit and then spiked again in December of 2024. $58 it spiked at. Right now, it's sitting at $65 and on an upward trajectory. And the eBay sales and the eBay listings confirm that. We can see $65, $99, $99 for copies. And going over to the sales, we're seeing loose copies selling in that $60 range. There's complete copies going for anywhere from, there's 175 here, 117, $99, $94, $80. So yeah, it's definitely going above that price charting number. It seems like the market hasn't really settled down on any specific price yet, but it's high. And moving back over to GameStop, you could see that it is in the system for $37.99. It's a pretty good deal. However, just like Rad Rogers, you can see it's not available to be shipped to you. It might come in stock every once in a while. Keep refreshing and maybe you'll get lucky. Same thing also with pickup in store. I tried 3 zip codes at a 100-mile radius and I didn't see squat. And before I go, I have one bold prediction of a game that is not rare right now, but it might become somewhat uncommon and maybe a little bit pricier than it is right now. And that is Oh, Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown. Now, hear me out here. Prince of Persia is not a rare game right now. In fact, it's constantly on sale. It's $15 at every major retailer pretty much all of the time. But if you take a step back, I think Lost Crown has all of the qualities of a game that's going to be expensive down the line. It didn't sell very well. Ubisoft called it a sales failure, and they quickly devalued the copies of these games just to get them out the door. Secondly, it's a game we're not going to see a sequel to. Ubisoft already dissolved the team that made it. This one looks like they just shut the door on it, and it's a real shame because, leading into my third point, it's a really great game. The Lost Crown is like Metroidvania perfection. It has excellent platforming, the combat is really smooth, it's not too complex, but if you dig in a little bit, you'll see that there's a lot of intricacy. There's a ton of customization, the map is excellent, and the way that you progress throughout the game and you get stronger and the way that you navigate the world just gets a lot better as you play, and it's a really, really solid Metroidvania. It's a genre I'm still getting into, but I really, really enjoyed my time with Lost Crown. I think I beat it in like 2 days. I ran through that game. So yeah, I guess my recommendation is to pick up Lost Crown while you can. I know it doesn't seem like it's gonna be a game that gets expensive, but like, come on, it's 15 bucks. Just play this game. It's nothing. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Let me know what Switch game you think is going to be expensive, and do you think that I'm right, or do you think I'm wrong? Do you think these games are not going to go up? Do you think they're just going to hang? Do you think they're going to get cheaper as time goes on? The Switch 2 is coming out. How is that going to change things? I want to hear from you, so let me know. And if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like down below, and if you want to see more game collecting content like this, hit that subscribe button.